Cassidy Senter was a 10-year-old girl from Hazelwood, a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri. On December 1st, 1993, she came home briefly after school, then left again to visit a friend, but she never made it. A massive search began. 8 days later, on December 9th, 1993, Cassidy's body was discovered in an alley in North St. Louis County. She had been wrapped in bedding and a mattress pad, as well as drapery. The St. Louis County Medical Examiner's Office later confirmed she died from blunt force trauma to the head. She had multiple skull fractures, widespread bruising, and signs that she survived only a short time after those injuries. There were also lacerations consistent with rapid sexual contact. Investigators soon tied the bedding and drapery directly back to the home of Thomas Brooks Jr., Cassidy's 33-year-old neighbor. Little did Cassidy and her family know there was a sex predator living right next to them. A witness reported seeing a man carrying a large heavy bundle behind a nearby apartment complex around the time Cassidy disappeared. The description matched Brooks. Evidence snowballed quickly. The bedding and curtains used to wrap Cassidy matched fabrics found inside the home of Brooks's sister, Cassandra Quinn. A U-Haul truck Brooks had rented on December 8th matched tire tracks at the dump site. Forensic fibers on Cassidy's body matched items in Cassandra's home. On February 3rd, 1993, detectives asked Brooks to come to the St. Louis North Police Station to clear things up. Once there, they informed him that he was officially a suspect. Brooks denied any involvement, but detectives still placed him in handcuffs and transported him to the St. Louis County Jail. Cassandra was also called in for questioning. Investigators accused her of hindering the investigation and sheltering her brother to keep him out of trouble. She too was placed in handcuffs at the station and was as well transported to that jail. Police then searched her home. Inside, they found 20-year-old LaFrance Wilson, who had previously lied to investigators during the early days of the search. He was arrested for hindering. Online discussions and some community speculation suggest Brooks's violent and opportunistic behavior may indicate involvement in other unsolved crimes from the same era, but no additional murder charges have ever been publicly involved in the case. The defense teams consisted of public defenders. Thomas Brooks was represented by Richard Hereford and Kevin Corrin, Cassandra Quinn by George Kisser and Kurt Schultz, LaFrance Wilson also by Kisser and Schultz. The case was prosecuted by Robert Livergood, who presented a probe to a grand jury at the St. Louis Circuit Court, that grand jury that went on to reach the indictment. Prosecutor Dean Waldermeyer also assisted. Judge Ellis Gregory Jr. ordered that Brooks be held without bond pending trial. On the other hand, the other two suspects were granted bond, Cassandra $75,000 and Wilson $100,000. However, his was later on lowered to $50,000. Both Cassandra and Wilson posted bond. They were released to await trial free. The grand jury indictment consisted of several felony offenses for Thomas Brooks: first-degree murder, armed criminal action, kidnapping, and rape. For Cassandra Quinn, 3 counts of hindering prosecution. For LaFrance Wilson, 2 counts of hindering prosecution. All three defendants appeared before Judge James Hartenbach and pleaded not guilty. In October 1994, Cassandra and Wilson accepted plea agreements. Judge Hartenbach sentenced each of them to 1 year in state prison. They were taken into custody briefly at the St. Louis County Jail before being transferred to the Missouri Department of Corrections. Their sentence started immediately after it was announced, as the bonds were revoked. After years of delays, the case of Thomas Brooks, the remaining suspect and the main suspect, finally made it to trial in December 1997. A jury of 12 members and 2 alternates was seated. After hearing evidence, that jury found him guilty on all charges. Then on December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, the jury returned a unanimous recommendation of death. Judge Hartenbach immediately imposed the death penalty plus an additional 999 years in prison for the remaining charges. He denied all motions to overturn the verdicts nor retry any phase of the proceedings. Brooks appealed the conviction and sentence, but by 1999 he had lost all avenues of appeal. Now let's discuss the fate of the 3 suspects. Cassandra Quinn served her prison sentence at the Chillicothe Correctional Center. LaFrance Wilson was initially processed at the Eastern Reception Center in Bonnie Terry, and then completed the sentence at the Algoa Correctional Center in Jefferson City. Thomas Brooks was housed on death row at the Potosi Correctional Center. He remained on death row until May 16, 2000. In this Mineral Point, Missouri facility, he died of natural causes at the age of 39 and never made it to the execution chamber. His 2 co-defendants waived their rights to appeal with the deals they took, so therefore, this case is officially over. Thank you for listening. Take care. May those deceased in this case, in this story, rest in peace, and have a good rest of your day.